Well, just like Elvis left the building, Biden has left the basement. And Team Biden is trying to figure out how to get him back there. Life is a series of accomplishments as we grow and develop. It begins from the time we're infants. Our first major accomplishment is to be able to sit up, then pull ourselves up, then take those first doddering steps in an attempt to walk. A child's great accomplishment is when he gets to give up diapers because he's been potty trained. A child who learns to ride a bicycle without training wheels and then eventually gets bold enough to take his hands off the handlebars and say, "Look, Mom, no hands." And now presidential hopeful Joe Biden wants us all to see, "Look, I can do this without an earpiece or a teleprompter." In recent days, since emerging from the bunker, Biden has been, talking, gaffing, even with the answers in front of him. And of course, the president keeps trolling him and jabbing him that mentally he's not up to it, that, there's no way he's going to be able to debate. Joe Rogan wants to host a 4-hour debate. We know full well that Biden's going to have all he can do to survive a 2-hour debate. In fact, saw a great picture this week of what will it look like when they come back from the first commercial break. I'm sorry, but the picture is absolutely hilarious. Joe Biden with his head on the podium, sound asleep, and the look on the president's face like, really? Really? This is what this debate's going to be like? That's even if you can get Joe Biden actually show up for the debate again. You know his team is going to try to sell the idea because of coronavirus. It needs to be done virtually, so they can keep the earpiece in his ear and keep a teleprompter in front of him. The president trolled out this week that he wants Joe drug tested before the debate. I mean, just absolutely hilarious. Of course, Biden and his people, they blew up over that. I really think what needs to be done is live on camera while we're actually watching the debate, if they can get Biden up on the debate stage, is he needs to be checked for earpieces. I'm serious. He needs to be checked for clip notes, roll the sleeves back on his suit jacket, see if he's trying to, like cheating on a test. Has he written a few answers down? It's sad. It's sad because he's been caught reading the teleprompter, which means they gave him the questions ahead of time. He's been softballed. He has been covered for by the media, like back in the day when the media covered for FDR, that he couldn't walk. And most of the American people did not know that their president really couldn't walk. And not that that in any way hindered him in doing the job of the president. It was Roosevelt himself who felt that if the world saw him as an invalid, it would cripple the image of America. It would take us from a position of strength. And again, when he first came into office, it was during the Great Depression, and he had to be able to keep the American people forward-looking and optimistic and understood, and the media understood. But we're not talking about a physical issue here. We're not talking about, can the president walk? Does the president wear a hairpiece? We're not talking about that. We're talking about, does Joe Biden literally have the mental capacity, the temperament to be the president? Does he have it? Is he having to read teleprompters? Is he having to have the questions spoon-fed to him ahead of time? Well, the trolling by Trump has been more than Joe can take. He's out there. That every time he goes anywhere, that Team Biden, their hearts are in their throat like, oh God, please, just don't let him say anything that will embarrass us. He's taken this personally now about the teleprompters and the earpieces, so he decided to do a press conference without it. And it was covered by the PBS NewsHour. And it didn't go well. And so I just thought I would just let the tape roll. And what you see, what you hear, is Joe Biden babbling.
Is you provide the kind of help that teach people how to know. They may not know, because if you could take care, if you were a quartermaster, you can sure and hell take care of running a department store thing, where on the second floor of the ladies department, or whatever, you know what I mean? And so one of the things that, and by the way, this whole notion of dealing with the idea that, look, but explicitly is the more helpful. By the way, they may say they want to go and, I don't know, do whatever, but it may not be their skill that they acquired in the military may not in any way enhance that piece. Am I making sense?
Great.
You got to ask me some easy questions here. I mean, it requires, that old overused phrase, it takes a village to raise somebody. What we did when we were dealing with the mental health issues, Elliot, is that we said it was the same as, it had to be treated with parity with every other health problem. But PTSD and traumatic brain issues compounded the issue, and the VA is best equipped to help navigate this. As I said, it's geez, the reason I was able to stay sequestered in my home is because some black woman was able to stack the grocery shelf. Where is that, people are figuring out that whether you have a mental problem, disease, it's a disease of the brain.
Anybody really think this guy is up to a debate with Donald Trump on any level? Anybody really think he's going to be able to go toe-to-toe for 2 hours without a teleprompter, without an earpiece? And even if they gave him the questions ahead of time, chances are he's not going to remember them anyway. Even in this press conference, he's looking down at Cliff Notes, and he's still just all over the place. This is not a question of Democrats having backed the wrong horse. They've backed a dead horse. Someone took the word Biden and made an acrostic out of it, B-I-D-E-N. Biggest idiot Democrats ever nominated. It's sad to see. You know that the only reason they nominated him was because, again, he is an empty suit, a puppet, which means they have a far more nefarious plan up their sleeve of how they want to govern this country, of the direction they want to take this country, and whatever Biden says out on the campaign trail, even now he is copying President Trump's economic plan. Any uptick he's had in favorability when it comes to handling the economy is only because he is parroting the Trump doctrine when it comes to the economy. None of that's going to happen if Biden gets in. Kamala, has already said that, she will be the president. It'll be a Harris administration. And there are going to be a group of individuals, advisors, cabinet members, faces and names we won't even know, who will really be the power. They will really be the Wizard of Oz, so to speak, the man behind the curtain, the puppeteers. And if you think we have watched President Trump have to fight the battle of his life, trying to fight back against the deep state, the swamp, and the absolute infiltration and corruption of our most sacred institutions, can you imagine what will happen when these people, using Biden out front as a puppet, what they will do? Because nobody knows them, sees them. Do you understand the systemic changes that will happen to every government institution, from schools to the military, to everything. Have you any idea how completely frightening this is going to become when the globalists will have just exactly what they need? A hollow plastic Mr. Potato Head as the figurehead president so that they can do what they've always wanted to do. Fundamentally, change America right down to its very core. Now, while we look at some of these gaffes and these ways that he just cannot mentally handle himself, and yes, we do find some humor in it, and at the same time, saddened by it. I had two parents that died from Alzheimer's. One who died from Alzheimer's, and my dad had dementia. I have said this before. I will say it again. Vice President Biden's family ought to be ashamed of themselves. This is absolutely unconscionable, almost borderline criminal, what they're doing to this poor man, what they're putting him through. And Team Biden, again, they're just working the will of the ultimate puppet masters who will be the deep state on steroids running this country. Mark it down, which is exactly why we need 4 more years of President Trump. That said, you need to watch my videos that President Trump will win New York and he will win California. Hey, that's it for this little small rant today. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and a like. I really do appreciate your comments. I do read a lot of them, and I do respond to some of them, so thank you for that. Make sure you have smacked the bell and clicked the word all so that you get notification of my next rant.